At today's book talk, I am going to introduce The Stand by Stephen King, a highly acclaimed and prolific American author known for his contributions to the horror and supernatural fiction genres. Stephen King was born in Portland, Maine, in 1947. He moved with his mother and brother to Indiana and Connecticut before returning to Maine. In 1966, he attended the University of Maine majoring English. Stephen King began writing stories at a young age, showing a passion for storytelling. In 1971, King started teaching English at Hampton Academy in Maine and was engaged in creative writing in the evenings and on the weekends. In 1973, his first novel, Carrie, was published. Over the years, King has written about 65 novels, 5 non-fiction books and over 200 short stories. He has become one of the world's most successful contemporary writers and has exerted a profound influence on American popular culture. His most popular novels include The Shining, It, Misery, Pet Sematary, and The Dark Tower series. In June of 1999, King was struck by a van and sustained multiple life-threatening injuries. He made a successful recovery and soon resumed his normal activities. Stephen King has received numerous awards throughout his career that include Bram Stoker Awards from the Horror Writers Association, World Fantasy Awards, O. Henry Award, National Book Foundation Medal for Distinguished Contribution to American Letters, Grand Master Award from the Mystery Writers of America and others. He was also awarded the National Medal of Arts, the highest honor given to artists and arts patrons by the United States government. Originally published in 1978, King's The Stand is a post-apocalyptic horror and fantasy novel. With an expanded and revised edition released in 1990, known as the Complete and Uncut Edition, it has become King's longest and most ambitious novel at 1,152 pages. The novel begins with the outbreak of a superflu virus known as Captain Trips, a deadly and extremely contagious strain of influenza. It is developed as a biological weapon in a secret laboratory of the U.S. Department of Defense in Northern California, and it is accidentally released from the government facility due to a security breach. Security guard Charles Campion manages to escape before the facility is locked down and takes his family out of the state. Few days later, his car crashes at a gas station in Arnett, Texas. Bystanders and ambulance workers who try to help become infected by the dying Campion and his dead wife and child. The United States Army attempts to isolate Arnett, going so far as to execute civilians attempting to flee, but in vain. When martial law fails to contain the virus, it spreads rapidly and decimates the entire world population within a month, leaving only a small fraction of survivors in its wake. The military collapses due to mass desertions and mutinies, and society soon follows with the near extinction of humanity. Knowing there is absolutely no cure for the virus, the government has its agents release the virus in the USSR, its satellite states and China to guarantee their destruction as well. The novel then follows several key characters who find themselves immune to the virus and have survived the pandemic. Some of the few who are immune also die, unable either to accept the loss of their loved ones or to survive in a world where they must fend for themselves. One of the main protagonists is Stu Redman, a working-class man from Texas and one of the Arnett residents who encountered Campion, proves immune to the virus. He becomes a symbol of hope and leadership among the survivors. Another central character is Franny Goldsmith, a pregnant young woman from Maine who is determined to protect herself and her unborn child. Stuart and Franny are drawn to each other and eventually fall in love, then enter a marital relationship. As the survivors navigate a world in ruins, they start to experience two similar strange dreams and visions that draw them to either Mother Abigail, a 108-year-old woman who represents goodness and light, or Randall Flagg, a malevolent, terrifying, dark man who embodies evil and chaos. People seek out one or the other. Stu and his group eventually meet Mother Abigail, who is convinced God has chosen her to do his will. Mother Abigail gathers a group of survivors in Boulder, Colorado, forming a community based on principles of cooperation and rebuilding society. As survivors continue to trickle in, the group starts organizing the hundreds of residents. They establish their community as the Boulder Free Zone, a democratic city-state modeled after the United States' former ideals. On the other hand, Randall Flagg, who possesses supernatural abilities, establishes his own sinister society in Las Vegas, Nevada, with psychopaths as his lieutenants, attracting those drawn to his dark allure and the promise of power. His people worship and fear Flagg as a messiah and submit to his iron-fisted dictatorship. He has those who incur his displeasure crucified. Flagg rescues Lloyd Henreid, a mass murderer, from his prison cell and makes him his right-hand man. As the story progresses, the characters face internal and external challenges, including the threat of an impending confrontation between the two societies. The surviving members of the Boulder community, led by Stu Redman and other key characters, make their way to Las Vegas to confront Randall Flagg and his followers. As the two factions prepare for the final showdown, the supernatural forces at play become more pronounced. Franny Goldsmith gives birth to her child, who is seen as a symbol of hope and a potential force against Flagg. The birth of the child coincides with the final battle and adds a sense of hope and a potential future force against Flagg. The confrontation between the two groups is intense and filled with supernatural occurrences. The survivors from Boulder, armed with their collective strengths and a sense of unity, face off against Flagg and his army. The powers of good and evil clash in a dramatic struggle that ultimately results in Flagg's defeat. However, the ending of The Stand goes beyond the immediate battle. It explores the aftermath of the conflict and the rebuilding of society in the wake of the devastating pandemic. The survivors, guided by Mother Abigail's vision, work towards creating a new civilization based on cooperation and harmony. The novel concludes with a sense of hope and renewal as the surviving characters come together to rebuild their lives and shape a better future. It highlights the resilience of the human spirit and the potential for redemption even in the face of overwhelming challenges. Directed by Mick Garris, a television miniseries adaptation of The Stand based on Stephen King's novel was released in 1994. While the miniseries received mixed reviews from critics and audiences, it remains a notable adaptation of Stephen King's novel, capturing the essence of the story and its complex themes. While it may not have achieved universal acclaim, it still holds a place in the hearts of many fans of King's work and has become a cult favorite among enthusiasts of post-apocalyptic and supernatural storytelling. A new adaptation of The Stand was released in 2020 as a limited television series which features a different cast and updated storytelling, providing a fresh interpretation of the story for modern audiences. Overall, The Stand is a sprawling epic that combines elements of horror, fantasy, and post-apocalyptic fiction. It is known for its complex characters, intricate storytelling, and exploration of human nature while offering social commentary and reflections on the nature of good and evil. The novel has become one of Stephen King's most beloved and iconic works, showcasing his skill at creating richly detailed worlds and compelling narratives. It captivates readers from the very beginning, setting the stage for a battle of epic proportions. We'll end the discussion with a quote from the New York Times review about The Stand. "This is the book that has everything: adventure, romance, prophecy, allegory, satire, fantasy, realism, apocalypse." Armageddon, complete and uncut, Sunday, May 13, 1990, The New York Times Book Review. The text is edited by Mary Rose Waldron.